The National Library Service Braille Display, presented by Jerry Doody.
The next person is going to be Jerry here at 11 o'clock, and he's going to be filling us in on some of the stuff that the Able Library is up to with some new products they have that they're sharing with us. Jerry, I'll turn it over to you. You can just go ahead and start on in if you want.
I wanted to talk about a couple of things. Mostly, I want to talk about the new e-reader that is being piloted by folks in the Able Library, well, the NLS system. And I also want to talk about a mechanical kind of throwback, which has really, it's low-tech item. It's called the Versa Slate. Okay, so very quickly, because not many people use slates and styluses anymore, but I thought this is a great learning tool for people who want to learn to use the slate and stylus. It's a 20-cell slate with 4 lines, so you get 80 Braille characters, and there is no paper involved at all. No paper whatsoever. You use a stylus, which is a very non-conventional stylus, comes right out of the side. There's the end of it. That's the point of the stylus, and it fits actually into the side, so you always have a slate and stylus with you. It has a nice case that does not come with it, but it's fairly cheap, $20 or something. And the Versa Slate, you can flip it over, and all of the Braille that you've written comes out on this 80-cell thing here. Now I have some notes to myself and about ACB. I needed to finish that up, and I finished it. So when I'm through with a note, all I have to do. Each of these buttons controls 5 cells. So I'm going to erase the whole thing. And, okay. And whoops. There. Okay, almost. All right, now it's a blank slate. I've got 80 cells to work with. And it sells for like $127 or thereabouts. The AT guys were selling this. It's wonderful for Braille lifers like myself because you can write notes, put phone numbers if you keep it near your phone, take it with you to jot down, addresses, whatever. And it erases after you don't need that anymore to this clear cell. And it is for someone who can use a slate and stylus, or who wants to learn to use one. I think it would be great for kids, who want to learn how to use the slate. So that's the first thing I wanted to present. Any questions about that? I didn't think there would be. Okay, the Able Library has done is working on several things right now. I don't know whether anybody from the library is on here. I don't think so. And if Tom, you always can back me up anyway, so I'm good. Many of us are on the library advisory committee, and that actually meets tomorrow. So. The library is presently working on a new talking book machine, which will be wireless, so that you will be able from your machine to download books from Bard. And I don't know that they're going to include any of the other reading services on it. I doubt it. Bard tends to be very concerned with copyright and all of that stuff. Hopefully the Marrakesh Treaty will help undo some of that. We're getting a lot more Bard books through the Marrakesh Treaty from Canada and Sweden and other places that I don't think we could have gotten before. They also have been using audio services such as what is that? Record books and Audible and other things like that. They purchase those books and then put the talking book markers onto them as best they can. The Bard, let me think. The recent books, they probably do maybe what, 200 a week, Tom, something like that.
They used to do about 2,000 a year. Now with buying the Audible, they do about 5,000 books a year.
Yeah, and that ends up to be whatever that is by 12, because they are pretty clear. Not 12.
Divided by 52. That's 52. That's 100.
100 a day. Well, 100 a week. And
100 a week.
And when you go to recent books on Bard, you get at least 1,500 to 2,000 books that are recent, quote unquote. The Bard phone app is greatly improved. They just did an update fairly recently ago. You can do it on Android. You can do it on Amazon Fire. I believe you can do it on, of course, the iPhone, iPad, iPod Touch. That's been greatly worked on and improved. The one thing I will say about NLS is when they produce something like that, a talking book machine, whatever have you, it is of very high quality because they do a lot of research to make that happen. Okay, so I would encourage you all, if you're not a Bard user or an Able Library user, to sign up for that. Also, very few people know that the Able Library has a fabulous large print collection, probably second only to Perkins' large print collection, which has been there for many years. But the Able Library has really worked hard to involve other disabilities which make reading difficult. Folks with dyslexia, etc., where it is difficult for someone to hold a book or read a book the correct way. People with arm motor injuries and whatever. So it has expanded. And Tom, you want to tell them what Able Library stands for?
Yeah, the Able Library. We changed the name 2 years ago now because we like to know what it's doing. So what's it do? We do audio, Braille, large print. And so we needed an E, we added electronic. So that's an Able Library. All are able to read. And we have over 7,000 large print books. So also, if you're talking to your local library, remind them if you go in that the Able Library are there and they can get on a rotating basis large print books, and so can a senior center, nursing homes, and whatever. So they can send those large print books around, plus a digital machine for demonstration and use by patients or residents in nursing homes.
Yeah. So thank you. That is going to be more and more a thing of the future. I am absolutely amazed at the research that is going into some of this stuff. I will say that our old friend from Vermont, who was our state librarian, Jason, I can never remember his last name.
Jason Broughton.
Broughton. Yeah. Broughton. Is now the head of NLS Talking Book Services in Washington, D.C. He is a friend of ours. He is on top of stuff. So we're going to see a lot more improvements and concentration on accessibility and keeping the budget. Hopefully, I mean, maybe it won't be like trying to get a bill passed through Congress to get the budget straightened away at the NLS library. We benefit from that, of course, and we also are beneficiaries of the Vermont State Library System, which is, of course, attached to the Library of Congress. So, I really encourage you to check out the Able Library. Sooner or later, they will be allowing people in. It's probably, if we are lucky enough to get my pals groups back in person, it'll be one of the first field trips we do is to the Able Library site, because they're in the same building in Montpelier as, is it Montpelier or Barry?
Montpelier.
Yeah.
Barry.
At Barry, as the Historical Society of Barry.
It is Barry.
And other things I think are in there too.
That's it. The library, the state library, which includes the Able Library, the offices, and the Historical Society. For old people, it used to be the high school in Barry.
Okay. Very good. Now, what they are working on currently, and what I have been working on very, very hard, is the new Braille E-Reader. I'll explain what it is in a minute. I'm showing you. Can you make
That's
sure?
the case.
No.
That's the case.
Yeah, this is the whole unit packed up in its case, and I will take it out of its case very quickly. I'm not so fond of this case. This is the Braille display unit. You can see the Perkins Brailler. It's a 20-cell Braille display. It's for some reason asking me for a password. I don't know why. So we're going to suspend that. Okay. On this, you can, I'm going to turn it off for the moment. It's going to do a lot of crazy things, but I think off is there. It makes sounds, so it tells you when it's accepted your command. It has a 20-cell Braille display, all kinds of buttons that move the cursor and move you to menus back and forth. It doesn't make a lot of sense for me to go over all of that now. In a full Perkins Brailler with the .7 and 8 and the space bar, of course, right there, space. It produces beautiful Braille. I'm going to push suspend, and it will go to nothing. There's no Braille on there at all. It is in the pilot stages right now. I finally have been able to download books from a talking book cartridge onto this thing. This is my second unit. I'm kind of rough on technology anyway, but this is my second unit. And it seems to be working better. I have been able briefly to connect it with my Wi-Fi. That's the present task that I'm working on. It is supposed to download books directly from Bard. You can also put an SD card in here. You can also, there's an USB-A port, which you can use for thumb drives. And you can also Bluetooth it to your iPhone, and it does a very good job of doing that and of using it as you would any other Braille display on a phone. Now, for those of you that are not, that don't understand how that might work, it actually gives you full access to your phone without speech. It's very good for folks that are deafblind. I trained someone fairly recently who was losing his hearing on one of these, not this thing, but another Braille display. There are several out on the market. Most of them connect to your iPhone. And again, this is a 20-cell. It's comparable to the Orbit 20, which it will hook to your computer. You can use it as a keyboard for your Mac or PC. And
It's 11:15.
sorry. At least
Jerry, is it free for
it
if
is
you're
free.
signed
Yeah,
up?
I saw that there, Shelby. And yeah, it's free to users. the supply is limited at this point because the production, get it and go through Perkins because the distribution through Perkins. So if they get 100, then they will distribute them among the states that deal with Perkins. So right now they're limited, but you need to just check the Able library and Wendy or Sarah can give you an update. And there's no cost to the user. That is correct.
Yeah, there's no cost to the user, and for people that learn Braille, it's a pretty easy way to start and learn how to use a Braille display. Because if you can use this, you can use most of them. There are, I don't know, Dan, 10, 15 of these things out in the market right now. Not this reader, but other Braille displays. I have
a lot. Yeah, many.
I have a Focus 40, which I also love, but I was able last night, actually, I called, the support is fabulous. They called me back within an hour or two. In fact, the gentleman that called me was working after his hours last night. And we messed around with it, and they told me how to name the talking book cartridge if you want to do downloading Braille yourself, which I did. And you name the cartridge, it doesn't matter, it's not going to mean anything if I tell you. But then it will automatically copy down to the Braille display all the books that are on that cartridge. So it is very cool. And you just plug in the cartridge and it's done. So it is in the pilot stages. We're going fits and starts here. This unit at least will allow me to put a password in on the network. The first unit I had didn't even find my networks. Not sure whether it works with 5G networks, but that's being tossed around now. I am really excited about all of the new stuff Able Library has. Even if you're someone who is not familiar with audio books, doesn't like them, whatever. When I was a rehab counselor in Connecticut, I can't tell you the number of people that I convinced after the second or third visit to try the National Library service that was available there. And they were absolutely in love with it the next time I came back. So when I was in Connecticut, they came out with this first digital cartridge thing. Before that, it was cassettes. And I go back, way back, I'm getting old now. I go way back to the 33 and a third album books. Ben-Hur was like 50 records, I think, in 2 cases. It was really amazing. I am a huge fan of National Library Services, huge. And if anybody has any questions, I know Tom enjoys it. We have book clubs that are centered around Bard books. The Vermont Council of the Blind has one. And I know iBug's another whole episode here. But there are many book clubs. Tom's beaten up his Milton Book Club members to only use Bard books, and that's been wonderful. He's enjoying that. And
the Able Library, we have a book club every other month.
Yep.
We have, and we encourage more people to join that. We still have our, 8 or so folks, but the more the merrier. And it's statewide and
it's statewide, actually. It's
it's statewide. Yep. And actually we can interstate because we let Joe in from Hanover, New Hampshire there. Yeah. We don't discriminate. He used to be a Vermonter. So
yeah, we let him off the hook. I don't know about Rhode Island, but New Hampshire's good. Yeah, and we have had people from, I think in the old days with the library, they've had people from, like Oregon and other places. So um, it's if you're on the fence about it, give it a try. It's all free. There's no harm, going to come to you if you decide to send it back, and they will gratefully accept it, and you can move on to something else. But again, the large print collection, for those of you who are low vision and still using it, go for it. I don't know. I wish I could demonstrate. I can demonstrate reading a book on this thing, but I think it's pointless to do that. Most of you know how people read Braille books. It's the only drawback to this thing is it is a 20-cell book. I was able to copy 10 books from the cartridge last night instantaneously. It took no time at all, and it was amazing. So Perkins is sending me another cartridge with more books on it. You can, I believe you can copy books to the SD card or a thumb drive. I'm not completely sure of that, but I suspect you can. I know you can copy from those things. And of course, you can put the books on the e-reader with your computer as well. It will be a drive on your computer or your Mac, and you can download books, copy books directly to the e-reader. So, I know this is a kind of a strange topic. Most people seem to be kind of not Braille users anymore, and I find that unfortunate. But I think this device will help improve, but certainly can help improve your Braille skills. There is an onboard help file with keyboard commands in the on the Braille reader itself, which is easily accessed. There are both keyboard commands and these buttons that are here. Those are commands as well. And they have not even decided that what some of these buttons on the left and right of the e-reader do yet. They've got some of them programmed to do things. So I think it's going to be something that's very expandable. There are two versions of this thing. This particular one is called the Zoomax, Zoomax, I believe. And Humanware has one too. I have not seen that one, but I have been in touch with Perkins a lot. Some of you know Anna Dresner. She is working on the support team for this thing. She does various iPhone books and whatever. I've had a lot of contact with her and some gentleman named Dan, who I don't know his last name, but we had a nice chat last night. Those are folks on the NLS support team, and Perkins has a support team which seems to be a conduit to the NLS support team. They seem to, if they can't figure it out, they will refer you to the Perkins, the NLS team. I'm sorry. So it's an amazing thing. I'm glad to be involved in this project. I really am. I think it's going to improve Braille literacy. I think it's going to maybe nudge people who are on the fence about Braille to give it a whirl and try. The Braille reader itself is completely quiet. You can, like I share living quarters with a spouse who's very sleep. She's a light sleeper, and I can easily use this at night without waking her. Unlike some of the others do click, the keys click, and right now I'm going to push the keys and let you hear this. That's about the sound that it makes. It's even quieter, I think, than a computer keyboard. So I really would encourage everybody to, at least if you don't want Braille, follow the progress of this thing, because I think it's going to make a difference to your students. I think it's going to make a difference to adults that are brave enough to tackle Braille after losing their vision, and there are some. I don't know how many, but there are some. And it does do, of course, all the Bard stuff, magazines. It does not do audio, and I don't think they have plans to have it do audio. They want it strictly to be a Braille display. So, and so I can entertain any questions. I don't want to belabor this thing because it's not for everyone. But I thought it was worthwhile talking about it, particularly to those of you that are teachers of children and adult rehab teachers, in case somebody was interested. And it is free. You can't beat that, So any questions or comments?
I have a question about you, because you mentioned it's free. And if someone wasn't using the Bard app on it, is that like I guess I'm asking, like, is the purpose to use, it's like, is it the purpose to read books, or can you use it for other things?
You can go on your phone. You can Bluetooth it to your iPhone or Android, and then you can use it to communicate with your iPhone. You can write notes and messages on your phone with it. You can read with it, of course. They are planning on having, you can usually download any book that is a BRF file, meaning Braille Ready file. Many organizations have that. National Braille Press loves BRF files, being a Braille press. Xavier Society for the Blind, I know, has BRF books that you can download. I am thinking that if you downloaded them to a thumb drive, you can't contact anything but Bard on the Wi-Fi with this. But if you download other BRF material on a thumb drive, I believe it will copy over to the books list. As I say, I'm still learning this. It's been quite an experience. I've spent a fair amount of time, and I'm presently reading a Maisie Dobbs mystery, who I love those, about World War II. So I'm very much enjoying it. It will delineate a book. For example, this book that I'm reading has 4 volumes. So there are commands to go to different volumes, different pages, different paragraphs. So and there's a search. There's a pretty robust search command as well.
Hey, Jerry.
Yes.
This is Dan. So I just wanted to double check. So you said that it does act as a refreshable Braille display for your phone or your iPad or whatever you paired it with, right? So you can read your emails, you can type emails, you can send those and use it as a navigation tool on your device.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Nice.
It works very well. And the Bluetooth is pretty good. I think my wife's got my phone up there. She was looking up passwords or something so my grandson could buy a game on my Amazon account. It Bluetooths very quickly. Sometimes the caveat to that is sometimes if you have another Braille display, you have to go to Braille to Bluetooth it. And sometimes if you have another Braille display like the Focus 40, it won't let you put 2 of them on your phone at a time. You got to forget one, but it's easy to repair. So, and I think it's a 000 pin to get the thing paired. Very easy to pair. So it is pretty amazing. Any other questions? Shelby, did that take care of your I mean, I think.
Yeah. So you can use it just like any other Braille display.
Pretty much. And I say that because you can't, some of the
It's 11:30.
take notes as well on the display. This will not do that, but you can write notes and emails and everything on your phone. I mean, there are many Braille displays that do not have, the calculators and all the bells and whistles internally. This does not, but it is strictly for reading Braille, and I think they're going to do Bookshare, and there's one other I think they're going to try to do. I can't remember what it is right now. So I think it's going to be really a product that is in process. That is, I'm certainly going to try to be at the cutting edge of it, because Braille was my first written and reading language.
Well, thank you so much, Jerry, for sharing that with us, and appreciate the update on the Able Library as well. And so just as a reminder, if anybody knows someone who could benefit from this, you refer them to the Able Library and they'll help make the connection. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
And or if they can call Perkins directly, and if they are members of the Able Library, there'll be no problem. Perkins is our Braille conduit if you want Braille books from the Able Library. So they're connected already to us.
In addition to this refreshable Braille display, the Able Library is able to help with audiobooks on cartridge, download through the BARD app. There's large print books that the Able Library has available. There's audio described movies that they have on file that you can request as well, and on DVD that you can have sent to you, and you can watch and then send back to them. So there's lots of resources they have outside of audiobooks, like these Braille and audio described movies and all that kind of stuff too. So go ahead, Tom.
Okay, I'm just going to say a little update. There is no print version of Talking Book Topics, at least for this year, probably not for next year. Supply chain problems, they do it on recycled paper, and that the federal government, NLS, can't get that. So no printed Talking Book Topics, but BARD, of course, doesn't affect BARD. And if you have problems, you just call Wendy or Sarah at the Able Library, and they're not going to print, because you can get the Talking Book Topics on the NLS app, on the BARD app, but they will print out a genre. They're not going to print out the whole 100 and some pages for you. But if you're looking for mystery, they said they will print out that. And let me say, we are very lucky here in Vermont. There was a plan on foot to contract library services out, usually to Utah, and prisoners were going to ship out all this stuff. And some of the states that did that, because Talking Book Topics was the only way they had access to what books are available, they don't have access to books, and they don't have anybody to call. So we are very lucky that we fought to keep the Able Library here in the state, and it's one of the leaders. We can be very proud of Vermont that we kept it and doing it. Proud enough that our state librarian, and Jason Broughton, was called down to Washington, D.C. He didn't want to leave there, but when the Library of Congress calls, as a librarian, you sort of have to answer. So
the other thing is, I wanted to make clear something that Tom said about BARD, Talking Book Topics, and I know the Braille Book Review and Talking Book Topics is available in Braille from BARD, which doesn't do folks a lot of good. But I do know the checklists are there. What I would suggest anybody, they're also the audio version of Talking Book Topics.
The audio version, yeah.
Available. So
just the print edition, yeah.
The print edition. And if you wanted to order, what I would suggest you do is it's always by genre, whether it's audio books or they do a brief, the Braille Book Review does. I don't know that that's available audio, but it is in Braille. And for you Braille readers, it goes by genre, and the Talking Book Topics does too. So you can make a list of the books you want, send them by email to Wendy and Sarah, or call Wendy and Sarah. They would be glad to help you. You can leave your book selections on a voicemail, so they will just put them on a cartridge and send them on out. Oh, the one thing we didn't mention is the books on demand thing that is going to happen for the Braille folks. If you want a particular book, they will ship it as a book to you. And apparently, eventually, it's going to be your book. You won't have to send it back to them. Xavier Society does that, and some other places now too, I think. The other thing that's going to happen is for those of you that are not BARD users, they will now be able to ship, 8 to 10 audio books at least on one cartridge. So if you, like, I got like 10 of the Star Trek books to get me through the pandemic. I'm not sure how it did that, but it did. I'm on the third one now, along with all the other reading I do. But I would strongly suggest if you have a series that you like and you haven't read them all, call Wendy and Sarah. They'll pop them on one cartridge, and it cuts down on their mailing. It cuts down on your aggravation. And the talking book reader will switch from book to book, the present one that we have. And they usually send on the cartridge a little note telling you how to do that if you've forgotten. So I just wanted to mention, I almost forgot that. That's a real key. That's one of those things that's happened on BARD within the past, 2 years or so?
Yep.
And Wendy and Sarah have
Last
worked
year here.
hard to make that happen. And I don't know whether they're actually going to be able to put Braille books on a cartridge like Perkins does for the e-reader. But that they're not up and running on that. I could tell them how to cheat if they want to do it, because I just bought a bunch of talking book cartridges and created my own, and it worked. So I don't know. That's all I needed to do. So anyway, that's I just wanted to mention that. I almost forgot that.
All right. Thank you so much, Jerry. Really appreciate it.